back. If you don't know me, I'm TK, and this channel is all about doing a little bit of makeup, a little bit of food, and having a lot of fun. And so if that sounds like a good time to, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and give me a like on this video. And how is everyone doing on this lovely Sunday? I didn't do crap yesterday because headache. And I'm sure some of y'all know what that's like on a Saturday. To just, all that stress of the week is just done, and then pow, headache. But that notwithstanding, here we are on a beautiful Sunday, actually, in North Kakalaki, and the sun is shining, and I think they're expecting like 60 degrees a day or something like that in the middle of January, which actually isn't that uncommon. Sometimes we get 70 degrees on New Year's Day, so it's whatever. I know in the Midwest they always say, well, if you don't like the weather, just wait 10 minutes, it'll change. Yeah, if you don't like the morning temperatures here in North Carolina, it'll be summer by the afternoon. Anyways, so I hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I thought this would be kind of a neat thing to do. I love music. I was a music major in college. I don't do that now. I'm a programmer now, but I was studying music education in college, and I loved music. And you know, of course, when you go into music, when you're younger, you're really into pop music. Like, you're really into like the music of whatever your time is. And I was an 80s girl. I grew up in the 80s. I grew up with I saw the first day of MTV. I saw the first video on the first day of MTV. Does anybody know what that is? Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles. And I was just so into, we had our second British invasion during the 80s, and I just loved music, and I loved so much of it, and I really thought I knew all of it till I got to college and had to learn all about like Liszt and Mozart and Beethoven and some of the ones that you know and some of the ones that you don't know. Yeah. Look up 20th century music. It's not what you think. So because I love music, I still love music. I just don't do it for a living. Because unfortunately there's no living to be made in it. Which is sad, you know. When I was younger and I was growing up, I'm just going to put this in here. Nobody asked me to plug this, but I'm going to put this in here. When I was young and I was growing up, Barry Manilow was huge. Probably the reason I even fell in love with music so much was because I heard Mandy on the radio, and I thought that was just the most amazing thing. I am what you might call a fan-a-low. And but one of the reasons that I mention that is because he has an amazing foundation to help bring music back to public schools. Music has been largely taken out of schools, and in some school districts all over the country has been completely taken out. And so then we wonder why kids are growing up and they're not empathetic. They're very self-centered. And studying music from all eras, not just what you're hearing on YouTube or the radio or the latest, TikTok thing or whatever. But studying music across the eras is what helps us to become more, in touch with our emotions, more empathetic with people. And so it's not just for finding something to cry to when your boyfriend breaks up with you in 6th grade. Like, it's more than that. And the Manilow Foundation does great work in bringing music and instruments and instruction back to schools. So if you can support them, even if it's just like share the information about it, it would really go a long way, I think, with changing some of the attitudes and that have felt like it was okay to pop off in these last 4 years. Music helps us gain tolerance and sympathy. So I'm going to plug that But there's lots of music foundations out there too. And if you find one that you'd like to support, by all means, I think you should. But let's get on with what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to do a little makeup look, and I'm going to talk about some aspect of music, and I'm going to try this on Mondays. So music and makeup Mondays. If somebody's already doing this, that is great. I didn't look it up because I can't be bothered. So I could be bothered, but I'm lazy. So that's my bad. Please, in the comments, feel free to say, oh, hey, somebody else did this. Next week, I will go ahead and I will credit those people. But this is what we're going to do today. Music and makeup on a Monday. Sounds like fun to you. Hang in. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Oh, they don't know me like they think they know me.
I'll just give you a little bit about the makeup we're going to use. We're going to use the Moira Wild in Colors palette primarily. Might grab a little something else, but I'll put anything I use, I'll put down in the things. We can just talk about music. So if some of y'all love music, you've heard these songs, you have any suggestions, please put them down in the comments, because I am up for doing anything. I do not care as long as I don't get any. I don't really care if YouTube claims this stuff, because I am going to play pieces of the music. I'm going to try to find live versions though, so that I don't get claimed, but I don't care if they claim it. I don't want to strike. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, so let's talk about music. Nobody wants to talk about free music. Here's the thing. We all love it. We hear it in our TikTok videos. We hear it in the YouTube videos, and we all use a little bit of that free music, like Epidemic Sound and stuff like that, but behind our videos. But when we talk about music, we want to talk about real music that we've heard on the radio. So that's what we're going to talk about in these videos. And I'm going to have to just throw caution to the wind. But it's a passion. This is hopefully a learning experience for you. And I hope that we can have a dialogue about some of this stuff, because I think it's a lot of fun. Okay, so the first song, what we're going to talk about today are songs that have been misinterpreted. Now, I think they've been misinterpreted maybe because of their title alone, possible. Maybe because people misheard the lyrics or misunderstood or didn't even listen to the lyrics. I'm going to sound like a boomer now, I guess. I'm not a boomer. My parents are boomers. That gives you a little bit of the age range I'm in. But one of the things that I think is lost, and okay, so let me rewind. Okay, back in the 70s and 80s, most of the music you heard, not all of it, I get it. Most of the music you heard was the lyrics all made sense. You knew what the song was about from the lyrics, okay? And yes, we're doing that look that I always do. Oh, I forgot my things. Okay, so back in the 70s and 80s, right? Pretty much everything you heard had some sort of story to it. So the lyrics made sense as they were. But as we got into, really, and I'm not calling out anyone's generation, but let's face it, as we got into the, maybe the 2000s, maybe more into the 2010s, the lyrics stopped making quite as much sense, okay? And that just is what it is. The lyricism wasn't quite as, coherency wasn't quite as important. So people weren't doing it. Okay. I'm going to say there is an exception in the 80s for sure that I wouldn't be able to deny, because actually I was a fan too. And I'm like, what the hell do these songs mean? But if you listen to REM in the 80s, yeah, that didn't make any sense. It does. I guess, in some weird way to them. But yeah, they weren't exactly known for their lyrical cohesiveness. So I'm gonna, if you're sitting there going, hey, what about REM? I'm gonna be like, yeah, you're right, REM. But, okay, but REM. So these songs are things where I think people may have just heard like the chorus or just heard some part of it, and they're like, "Oh, what a great song!" I've literally heard these songs at weddings. We're only going to talk about 3, but I've literally heard these songs played at people's weddings, and I'm like, is anybody listening? Y'all hear these lyrics? Like, what's the deal? So the first one I'm going to mention, not surprisingly if you were just listening in the beginning of this video, the first one I'm going to mention is Looks Like We Made It by Barry Manilow. And you could be like, oh, that's only for you, like, neo-boomers. I don't know what, we're Gen X. Like, I don't know what else we are. We're just Gen X. That's for you, Gen X. Well, let me explain something to you. This was in a movie called Due Date. It's pretty. So, so Looks Like We Made It. It was used literally in one of the Super Bowls, and I'm like, is anybody listening to this? So I'm going to cue that up while I do this little cut crease here, talk about exactly what the song is, and try to figure out why people thought it was so positive. Why would you play it at a wedding? Why would you play it at the Super Bowl? Why would you play it on Due Date? Okay? So let's listen.
There you are, looking just the same as you did last time I touched you. And here I am, close to getting tangled up inside the thought of you. Do you love him as much as I love her? And will that love be strong when old feelings start to stir? Looks like we made it. We left each other on the way to another love. Looks like we made it, or I thought so till today, until you were there everywhere, and all I could taste was love the way we made it.
There it is, right? What does he say? Looking just the same as you did last time I touched you. Well, that wasn't yesterday, before we walked in here to take our vows. It's really funny because even the writers, Richard Kerr and Will Jennings, who actually wrote quite a bit that Barry Manilow recorded in the 70s, have not been able to figure out why people don't understand what this song is about. It's pretty clear if you're actually listening to the lyrics. This is something that I think we have lost. I do feel like we don't listen to lyrics as much. But yeah, if you listen to the lyrics, it's not that, right? It's not like, woo, we got here. Look, we started from the bottom, now we're here. That is not what this song is about. This song is about two people who tried to make it work, but it just didn't. And after a while of trying to do something like that, you just have to give it up. You know, there's like nothing else you just gotta quit trying, because after a while you're just wasting your life on something that just isn't gonna turn out, much like the way I raise plants. So this is a song about two people that they tried it, it didn't work, and they went on to other relationships, but then they ran into each other later, maybe who knows where, I don't know, Starbucks, I'm not sure, but they ran into each other later, and they're like, wow, there you are, you still look good. And I still remember how I used to feel every time I saw you every day. You know, I still remember how I used to feel when you would come home and I would hug you and we would talk about how your day was. Like, I still remember all that. Just looking at you here today at the Starbucks. I'm not really sure where they run into each other. And he's saying, you know, do you love that person? We've moved on to other people, right? It's implied because he's saying, you know, do you love him as much as I love her? And would that love be strong? Will that love be strong when all feelings start to stir? So he's kind of making the assumption. It's a little bit of a big assumption, Barry. Let me just tell you. But, yeah, he's kind of making the assumption that, like, maybe she's feeling those old feelings again, too. But in the end, he's like, well, it looks like we made it. You know? We left each other for something that we either thought was better or just because we couldn't make it work. I figured that we were all good. Like, I thought we were doing fine. Like, I thought I was doing great with my new love. Until you walked in here today, and all I could taste was love the way we made it. See, it's not that kind of song. It's not. He's just like, Jesus, did we really? I guess it looks like we've just moved on, but damn, this still. Like, I'm not doing a real great job here of separating all this shit. And you know, then the song goes on, right? But there it is. That's what looks like we made it means. It doesn't mean it looks like we made a touchdown. It doesn't mean it looks like we made it to the playoffs. It just means we made it to the end of what was a kind of a cool relationship. And we fucked it up. That looks like we made it. Okay, so the next song that I want to go into is from the Righteous Brothers. You might not know this one as well. It's from the Righteous Brothers, who did that song from Top Gun. Hopefully you've seen Top Gun. This song is called You're My Soul and Inspiration. And at first that sounds really lovely. I can't even argue with that. But I'm going to cue it up and we'll listen to it. And, but once again, I have literally seen this played at weddings and I'm like, no. I end up on some episode of the cringiest wedding song choices ever. Okay, so let's cue it up.
I can't let you do this, let you walk away. Girl, how can I live through this when you're all I wake up for each day, baby? You're my soul and my heart inspiration. You're all I got to get me by. You're my soul and my heart inspiration. Without you, baby, what good am I? I never had much going, but at least I had you. How could you walk out knowing I ain't got nothing left to give you, baby? You're my soul and my heart inspiration. You're all I got to get me by. You're my soul and my heart inspiration. Without you, baby, what good am I? What good am I? Baby, you know, honey, I just can't make it without you. And I'm telling you, darling, you're my reason for laughing, for crying, for living, and for dining. Baby, I can't make it without you, and I'm begging you, baby.
Now, who wouldn't want to be like that loved by somebody? I mean, that is an amazing feeling when you're loved by somebody who's just like, I really can't live without you. And really what they're saying is, it's not like they're saying like, I can't live without you, but really what they're saying, like, they would go on, but really what they're saying is like, I just don't want to see my life without you. And that's a beautiful sentiment. And you know what? That could be no more beautiful time to have that sentiment than on like a wedding day. But not this song, because if you didn't get it from the beginning of the song, she's leaving him. She is got her shit packed and she is ready to walk out. And he is like, girl, what? Like, why would you do this knowing that? Now, we don't know the whole story. Like, he might have been a butthead. Like, we don't know. You know, she might have been some kind of cheating hoe. Like, we don't know that either, right? She might be wrong. We don't know who's wrong in this. We don't know why the relationship has come to this. But clearly in this song, it has. And, like, while that's a fantastic, amazing sentiment to have about somebody, like, you're the reason I wake up every day. You're the reason that I live. You're the reason that I die. Like, that's beautiful. But that is not what this song is about. Like, you don't... Try something else. Try something else. Okay, so while we do this under eye, I'm going to talk about the third song today that we're gonna touch on. So that is one that maybe some of you have actually heard. It is Bono's. Bono. It's not Bono. It's U2. U2, and I should know that because I'm old enough to know better. It is With or Without You by U2. And again, this is one that I've heard at weddings. Definitely a lot at weddings. People play this for, you know, sometimes even like the bride's entrance. And I'm like, oh my gosh. The thing is, even Bono himself said this was more of a, this was like an inescapable relationship. So it kind of is an homage to the adage, you can't live with them and you can't live without them. That's not a wedding day song. That's like 7 years after your wedding day song. Like the cheaper to keeper thing. You know, that's not, you don't, it is a lovely sentiment though to think that somebody would be like, oh my God, I can't live without you. And that's fine. But there's other songs that say that better than this one. So I'm going to cue it up while I finish this under eye.
Sleight of hand and a twist of fate. On a bed of nails, she makes me wait. And I wait without you. With or without you. With or without you. Through the storm, we reach the shore. Give it all, but I want more. And I'm waiting for you. With or without you. With or without you. I can't live. With or without you. Yeah.
Okay, so we finished that under eye. We've got a lash going while I get this other lash on. We'll talk about Bono. So in the song, like, you can hear him saying, you know, I'm waiting without you on a bed of nails. She makes me wait. Well, that's a lovely sentiment, isn't it? But he himself, what he has said about the song is that it really is about like that type of relationship that you just can't escape. He likened it even to his relationship with you too, that it was like, yeah, this is something that I have to do, but it's also something that takes a tremendous toll on my personal life. And I love that Bono has done so much for the freaking world with what he's reaped from being in U2. So that's amazing. But again, that has to take a toll on your relationship if you're both not like in it. You know what I mean? And while, yeah, it sounds great to say I can't live without you, he's also saying I can't live with you. Like, you've probably all got to that point in a relationship where you're kind of like, oh my gosh, I really want to try to make a life with this person, but dang, they're hard to live with, but also I don't want to give up on this, And while that is, it is relatable, and that's what he wanted to do. He wanted the song to be something everybody could relate to. It is... Many people have misinterpreted the song to be like a really positive vibe about a relationship when it's not necessarily, it's not completely negative, but that's not what the song is about. The song is about getting to that point in a relationship where you're just you're feeling some things out and some shit isn't clicking and you're like trying to figure out, how do I go forward with this? Do I go forward with this? I'm gonna give you a little hint. There's something that is talked about called the 7-year itch, the 7-year ache. Right around that time, 5 to 7 years into a long-term relationship, or into what you think is gonna be a long-term relationship, there's a rub. You're very used to each other, but there's a lot of times just those other little things are starting to bug you a little bit more. Just watch out for that, because it isn't like it's not overcomeable. I've been in my current relationship for 15 years, and 16 now, and I recognized that 7-year itch, that 7-year ache, and I remember, just kind of working through it. Not like we had to go to couples therapy or whatever, but just trying to work through those things where you have to finally say, this is what it is, or whatever. And I think Bono is really talking about that point of where you go, I can't live with or without you. If you're at that point on your wedding day, you should probably consider whether having a wedding is the right thing to do. Okay, I'm gonna do some foundation and then we'll wrap up. Okay, and we're back. And so we have finished our look today with Moira Cosmetics, the Wild in Colors palette, and I love this. I absolutely love the the vibrancy of the palette. What did we learn? Well, lyricism was really important back in the 70s, 80s. I don't know, in the 60s people were so high all the time. I'm not sure a lot of that made sense. But in the 70s and 80s, it was really important. And when you wanted to get, like, it's not like it is today where you can just kind of go on YouTube or SoundCloud or whatever, and you could start a music career there. Like, there were specific paths that you had to take. You had to get discovered. You had to get in the face of an agent, or you had to hire an agent, or you had to get in front of like an executive or something at a record company, somebody that had some kind of influence that could then get you in. I mean, even Garth Brooks went and he auditioned in front of executives, and they were like, nah, you're never all that twangy sound, like you're not going to make it or whatever. the Reba McEntire had a similar path, even though they were able to get in front of somebody. Not everybody made it. You had to have quality. You had to have ability, and lyricism. If you were going to take original songs in front of somebody, holy mackerel, you better have some lyrics. And it's just not that way today. It's not a path anymore. It's just like a beach. So people just listen to what they like, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to picking songs for special days, I just, some of the weddings that I had gone to right after I got out of college, I was like, are you kidding me? Did you listen to this? Did anybody have a part? Was there a musician involved? So while some of these songs in the chorus, they sound great, and that's what you've heard because some advertiser used it or something like that. You heard like a snippet of a song. You're like, oh, that would be great. That sounds great. Make sure you're hearing the whole thing. Make sure you're understanding what everything is. I couldn't imagine a bride going, oh, I want to use With or Without You to her fiance, and him going, what the, are we at that stage already? This is just a bit of fun, and this is all just my opinion. I love these songs. And if you disagree with me, that's great. Put it in the comments. Let's talk about it. I would love that. I hope you enjoyed Makeup and Music Mondays. I hope that wherever you are listening to the lyrics, and you're having a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, or a great night. I will see you in my next one. Bye, y'all.